Lecture 3, Perception, Perceiving Ourselves and Others. What is perception? Perception is the process of making meaning from environmental experiences. When we perceive, we select, organize, and subjectively interpret sensory data. Culture and co-culture influence perception. Diversity affects the way we look at the self, the expectations we have for ourselves and others, and our behavior. Collectivistic cultures are cultures that stress group goals. The scientific term for collectivistic cultures is allocentric. Individualistic cultures are cultures that stress individual goals. The scientific term for individualistic cultures is idiocentric. Individualistic cultures are cultures where success is linked with personal achievement. It's self important identity. We see this in Western cultures such as ours. Collectivistic cultures are cultures where success is linked to group cohesion and loyalty. The importance is on group membership identity, and we see this type of culture in mostly African and Chinese cultures. Stereotypes also influence perception. We just talked about cultures and co-cultures and how they influence perceptions. Let's look at stereotypes. What are stereotypes? A stereotype is a generalization about people, places, or events held by many members of a society. Stereotypes can be good and they can be bad. They can be bad when people only believe in a particular stereotype for all members of a group, and it's not true. However, it can be good in that it can help you to understand some things about a culture. Selective perception. That's focusing on particular stimuli while ignoring others. It's the tendency to remember what you want to. Sound familiar? Now, there are ways that we perceive. The figure ground principle is one principle we're going to look at in class among a couple of others we'll briefly discuss. Now, the figure ground principle, when we select, organize, and evaluate so that what we focus on becomes the figure and the rest of what we experience becomes the ground. Closure is the tendency to fill in missing perceptual pieces. It's what we use to perceive a complete world. Blindering. Blindering is the process by which we unconsciously add restrictions that limit our perceptual capabilities. Now, how do we increase the accuracy of our perceptions? Number one, We need to be aware that our perceptual processes are personally based. It's a continuation of what's out there in the world and what exists in you. Number two, take your time. You want to focus information fairly and objectively. Number three, try to be more open. You want to be willing to expect the unexpected and expand the size of your perceptual window. Number four, develop your ability to empathize. Are all ways that we can increase the accuracy of our perception. A key factor to how we view our world is the extent to which we open ourselves to experiences. What is self concept? Self concept is everything we think and feel about ourselves. It's basically your self appraisal. Now, self concept has two components. The first component is self image, and self image is how you perceive yourself to be, how you see yourself. Self image consists of the roles you see yourself performing, the categories you place yourself within, the words you use to describe yourself, and your understanding of how others see you. Now, the second component of the two components that make up self concept is self esteem. Self esteem is how well you like and value yourself. It's your feelings and attitudes about yourself, and it comes from your successes and your failures. Now, how is self concept formed? Self concept is formed by one, the image others have of you, two, the way you experience and evaluate yourself, number three, the roles you perform, number four, the media messages you absorb, number five, the expectations you and others have for you, number six, the gender, cultural, and technological messages you internalize. Now we're going to talk about the Johari window. And the Johari window is basically a model that contains four panes that are used to explain the roles that self awareness and self disclosure play in relationships. Because remember that we said in lecture one, a communicator is anyone who wants to enter into relationships. Okay, so the Johari window, as I said, has four panes, and pane number one is the open window. And the open window or area of the window represents information about yourself that is known to you and others, like your name. You may or may not tell people your age. Number two, or the second pane, is the blind area. And the blind area represents information about you that others, but not you, are aware of. A friend with no clue about their faults or virtues. The third pane is the hidden area. And the hidden area represents information you know about yourself, but do not want others to find out for fear they will reject your hidden self. This is the area where you keep your deep, dark secret. And finally, the fourth pane is the unknown area, which represents information about you that others, but not you, are aware of. It's basically your hidden talent. Now, because we are humans with the need to communicate, we move from pain to pain and engage in self disclosure. Now, self disclosure is when we purposely reveal to another person information about ourselves that he or she would not otherwise know. In relationships, your goal should be to increase the size of the open area while decreasing the size of the hidden, blind, and unknown areas. As humans, we know what we think about others and what others are thinking about us, but the question is, are we willing to share those thoughts? I'm going to just give you briefly a model of the Johari window. You can also find a copy of it and read about it in your textbook in chapter 3. And this is the model. It's a window pane, basically a model that consists of four, well, window panes rather. Number one is the open area, the area that you and others know about you. Number two is the blind area, which is information that you know about, I mean, that others know about you, but you have no clue about this. Number three is the hidden area, which is the area that you know information about yourself, but you do not care to share it with others. Perhaps your deep, dark secrets exist here in this third pane. And then number four is the unknown area, the information that neither you nor others know about you. And it's basically your hidden talent. So, what we want to do in relationships when we're trying to be communicators, we want to increase the size of window pane number one so that it's this large, so that it's this large, okay, and decrease the areas of window panes 2, 3, and 4 for our best relationship. Okay, and that concludes lecture 3 on perception.